McLean, Michelle Schroff here. We have come alongside of FortheOne with their Vulnerable No More campaign. And what we're doing is we are identifying those that are vulnerable to sex trafficking. Vulnerable No More is a pivot to what FortheOne is doing in our communities right now, and that is going out and sharing information, experiences, and awareness of human trafficking. This pivot has involved a social media campaign that goes out into all the world so that everyone can see and hear how they can make a difference, not just in word or in hashtag, but in actual deed.
What a privilege. We've seen them in action where they're actually making a difference in the community. They're working with law enforcement and organizations like us, but not only are they actively working with the victims, male and female, but what they are also doing is bringing awareness to people like you. And what we want to do is just kind of identify what is sex trafficking, because we have so many different ideas as a society what that means. But what it really means is that anybody who is forced, coerced, bribed, tricked into, made to have sex when they otherwise wouldn't have sex for the either profit, gain, or drugs. And we imagine it as some girl in a foreign country who is chained to a bed, forced to have sex with strangers. And even though that may be true, but it goes beyond that. You know, we have the traditional pimp. And that's not just a boss that they work for. That is a slave owner who works for other slave owners, collecting money from merchandise. The merchandise would be the men and the women who are forced to have sex. Gang activity right now, initiation of the gang, and the women who are involved in that, they're tagged. You'll see the names on their necks. They're forced to have sex for money, for drugs, for favor. But one thing that we generally don't think about is families. Mothers and fathers selling their own children, aunts and uncles selling their nieces and nephews for drugs, for favor, or for money. It's everywhere. It's in your neighborhoods. It's in your schools. It's in your churches. We had a girl that we once actually knew before she was brought into sex trafficking.
Yes, we had a young lady that came in to our boutique at Zoe, and she was coming for an appointment to get clothing and to have a little makeover, just to help with the self-esteem, because we know that a lot of these victims, they just feel like they're worthless because they come from either a difficult background of poverty and abuse. She had come in and she was talking with one of our volunteers that was working there, and she asked the girl that was volunteering if she enjoyed working with her mom, because it was a mother-daughter team. And she said, "I do. Do you and your mother get along?" And she said, "No, my mom is the one that trafficked me." She told her the story of how she ended up getting manipulated to be that merchandise to someone so that drugs would be provided to her mother. And the young girl recognized the woman doing her makeup, and she said, "I know you." And she asked her, she said, "Did you used to hang out at the local skate park?" And she said, "I did." These two girls in their early 20s had known each other in the past when they were 14, 15 years old. That really hit home. It hit home to us as an organization, and it really hit home to us as parents. We have children that we've adopted out of foster care. We have 5 kiddos that we are just over the moon thankful for, because these are children that could have been the one that was taken into this kind of lifestyle. These kiddos, they feel rejected so much in the system, and it's not any fault, it's just human. We want to be wanted, we want to be valued. And the vulnerability of those that are in foster care, the LGBT community, the transsexuals, those are the ones that are most greatly affected because they're rejected. They're rejected from family and friends. And we just found out a statistic that just broke our heart, that the life expectancy of a homeless trans individual is 35 years old because they are generally murdered. For us, that's not okay. These are people, these are human beings. They just want to feel loved and valued. We had heard a statistic one time at a conference we had gone to about children, and how children in other countries often will run away to something better. And in our country, that's not the case. Generally, if kids are running away, they're running away from something.
Those kids, those same kids are on the street, a large percentage of them are trading their sex for food or for shelter.
Yeah.
And we can't stand by and let it happen. We had a young lady, and you did a campaign through Zoe, and it was called She Has a Name, because the news was saying the prostitute that was kept in a dog kennel. And the fact is that she was a sex victim and started at a very young age. Toby.
Yes,
So
Toby.
she had an age, and she wasn't always a 20-something prostitute. She was once a sex victim as a child.
That's right.
And what these traffickers would do is they would bring them in, and then they would chip them with a dog clip. Little chip that goes in your neck and it identifies. You can scan a wand over it, but they would tell the girls that they could track them anywhere in the world. And this girl was able to escape and get away. She made it to law enforcement, but due to the overwhelming fear and the anxiety that comes with them thinking that they could track her, she went back to it. She was kept in a dog kennel, tortured, and then killed. But you need to know she had a name.
That's right.
And she had a name when she was 11. She had a name when she was 12. She had a name when she was full grown, trafficked, and murdered.
That's right.
And who's vulnerable to becoming sex trafficked? It's truly anyone that finds themselves in a place where they might not have something else, or they're depressed, or they're sad, or they need money, or they start with drugs, or they're a runaway. And it basically is everybody.
That's right.
Everybody is vulnerable to the evil of sex traffickers to lure people in, boys
Right.
and girls, and use them for just horrific things.
That's right. And social media plays a large role in that also, keeping an eye on what your kids are doing on their phones, because they can be told that, Prince Charming is on the other end. And this is something that happens. Now it seems to be the up and coming. Traffickers are looking through social media and pretending to be someone that they're not, so that children will trust them. 13, 14, 15, even adults. 71% of trafficking victims are women and children. And 95% of those that have been trafficked have been sexually abused as children. So, when you start thinking about those statistics and you go, oh my goodness, there is a connection of children that have been sexually abused, mentally handicapped. 90% of mentally handicapped population have been sexually abused. So, it seems undaunting that there's just so much. And, this video is not meant to overwhelm. It's really meant for you to look at your circle and to really say, what's in my circle that I can have an influence on and that I can speak into.
And parents, quit giving your kids the privacy you think that they deserve, and start protecting them and knowing where they've been. If you find yourself needing help, or if you have been trafficked, or you know someone that is, there's a number, 1-888-373-7888. 1-888-373-7888. And the website is
FortheOne.one.
Join with us.
That's right. And if you want to follow Clay or I on social media, Instagram, Michelle Schroff and Clay Schroff. And if you are being trafficked, or you are in a position where you know someone is, please call that number. And those of you that are in positions that you do not want to be in, you must know you are worthy and you are valuable.